what we've been hearing really is again space. We want space, and so that's something that we're giving. Like I said, we've eased the requirements on Camarillo County. We're also making it very easy. I think players will be very happy with the requirements for the especially the first two water acres that we're opening up for them, and this is something that we're always looking at and always trying to just provide the best experience for the players.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Now, speaking, I mean, obviously the entire expansion is water-based, water-themed, and leading up to this event, there's kind of been speculation on what that might really mean for FarmVille 2, what sort of things might be introduced. And a lot of the questions that came in were along those lines. Now, you've sort of covered what's already in the works for the Appaloosa River, what people can expect from it. But, you know, forward thinking, right, that's always what comes down the road with the different updates, different changes in that. Got to ask if any of this is on your mind here, seeing as your players are definitely just as curious as I am. So first question, are there any thoughts about maybe adding fishing?
So that's another great question. So the offering that we've got right out of the gate for the river, we're starting off with water farming, and then we've also got the ducks, and we've got the water buffalo. That's step one. Fishing has been a really hot topic, and we're always listening to our players about what they love, what they want, what they don't want. It's kind of, we want to make sure that when we do fishing, that we would do it right. And we want to make sure that we get a lot of feedback from players about animals and how much of an emotional connection that players make with the animals and how much they kind of love the animals in the game. And we want to make sure that we're always treating the animals fairly. And so fishing is kind of one of those points of we want to make sure that we're not doing it wrong. What you'll never see in FarmVille 2 is the ability to get fish and then turn them into cook them and turn them into recipes. So that's something that we don't want to go down, because a lot of players have kind of voiced strong opinions about that, and we want to honor that. So we're still thinking about fishing and how that would tie into FarmVille 2. And like I said, when the time comes, we're going to make sure that we do it right.
Okay, no, that makes perfect sense. And then I guess the second part to the question, then on the same fishing note, someone had asked about fish farming, which I guess you pretty much just answered. You'd never, pull them out, cook them, and this and that. But in commercial fishing, it seems like there are some places where fish farms are fairly common nowadays. And just in the back of my head, I can just picture these water crops that are just little fishies swimming around in the same square. I suppose that's not on the menu then.
Yeah, we wouldn't fishing that way.
Understood. No worries. So we've had more than a few questions about swimming. Obviously, we've seen that, so that's a definite yes. Let me see here. But boats would be another question that a lot of people have asked about. Now, I see you have a decorative boat. Is that the sort of thing we're going to see more of?
That's where we're starting. So the decorative boat, the boat decoration is the first thing that and again, players will have access to it this week as part of the early unlock. So there's a limited edition boat. There is more decoration coming down the horizon as well in the coming weeks, and so boats will be on the menu. Absolutely. The other thing to note too is that, and I sort of forgot to mention this earlier, so it's a great opportunity to do it. One thing about FarmVille 2 is that, and I'll scroll over here. The road down here that runs on the west side of the farm, there's all sorts of vehicles that come down here and characters and traffic that are part of the road. And if you'll notice too, the way that we've done the art for the river is going down the east side. There's actually a channel that runs all the way down the side here too. And so there's Marie and Gus and a lot of the townsfolk of FarmVille 2, they're going to be appearing through here and sort of giving bulletins and news and introducing new things to the game through the river itself. And they've got their own boats, and we've got some funny surprises in there too. So I'd really encourage players to stay tuned for that.
Oh, very cool. So there will be boats in the more so than just decorative. That's very cool. Now, one farmer asked, and you know what? You gotta ask. If they don't ask you, you'll never be able to deliver, right? So, what one farmer has asked if they can have a yacht that they can do interior design on.
Yeah, we haven't got there yet. we're working on. It's great question. Again, if it's something that we're always looking to the community, we're always looking to our players and what they're passionate about. And I think, like I said, we haven't gotten to a yacht that you can sort of click on and decorate out and get interior design on. But like I said, we've got a couple of different boats that are going to be part of the game that you can help that you can decorate your farm with, and that's just the start.
Very cool. Now, just stepping back for a moment here, we had a little while ago discussed how at this point in time the water is basically there. The advantage of it is that it will feed river crops without having to actually use outside water, but that at this time it's not a resource that you're gathering. Who knows what the future might hold? But other resources on the river. Someone had a fairly interesting question. They said, "There's always driftwood in the river where I come from. Can we get driftwood to help with the wood count?"
So that's an awesome question, and I'm actually really happy that somebody asked that question because while I can't get into the details of it, there is something coming in the month of September that is going to, I think, really make that person happy.
That's great.
I don't mean to. There's a certain amount that I can reveal and a certain amount that I can talk.
Sure.
But that is a fantastic question, and like I said, that person's going to be pretty excited when they see one of the features that's coming down in the month of September.
Nice. Well, if that was a good question, you'll like this other one because it's actually from the same player. Really, it's just a question about the sound design, I suppose. They asked, "Do we get to hear any frogs croak their enchanting call?" Which I guess the bigger question then is, what sort of sounds are we going to hear introduced because of the river?
The frogs or something. I think I'll just key in on that for a second. You'll notice in the loading screen, the artist created this wonderful image of Gus and Marie hanging out on the dock. I don't know if we can show that right now, but actually it was part of the original load for this stream. Players will notice in the bottom right hand corner of that image that there is a frog in the bottom, and we've got kind of a special secret in the game, and players will have to find out exactly how to get the frog to show up because it's kind of a hidden, we call it an Easter egg in games, so it's kind of a hidden Easter egg that we'll be putting in there. It won't be part of the immediate launch, so players will have to wait a couple of weeks for it, but frogs are going to sound pretty great, so
that's terrific.
Yep.
That's terrific. Now, there was one question that wasn't about the river. There were many, but there was one that really stood out, and I can't not ask. This player asked, "My pigs look tasty. Is there any way I can cook the pigs?"
Right. So that question, I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier when we were talking about fishing. Overwhelmingly, and this is one of the key staples of FarmVille 2, and part of the reason why we have so many players that come back and play the game and love the game, is that we get a lot of really positive feedback on how lifelike the animals are, and people really have grown to have an affinity towards the animals and really like them and adore them and have, like I said, strong emotional connections. One of the rules that we kind of that we follow creatively with the team is that we're very sensitive to that, and there's no barbecuing meat, there's no slaughtering animals in the world of FarmVille 2. We just think that really takes away from that bucolic, peaceful, loving feeling that players get when and sort of the fantasy of living the good life in the countryside. I think that is creatively we've kind of taken a hard stance on that, and that's just
Sure.
that we're not going to be doing. So I'm sorry to say for that player, they're not going to ever really see bacon in FarmVille 2 anytime soon.
Fair enough. And just a last question, I suppose. This is more or less one that's coming from our audience right now on Twitch TV. As I look over at the chat window, I just see it coming up over and over and over. Any chance for crocodiles and alligators? Because they seem to want to know.
So we, if players are going to ask for it, like I said, this is something that it's your game. We're here to curate it. We're here to do what the players are passionate about. Let me tell you a story. There's one of our lead producers on the title. over and over and over again is always asking about gators. And if it's something that we're going to put in the game, again, it's got to be something that the players demand, and it's something that we want to do right. So we want those to be friendly. We would never do something that endangers our other animals in the game, and something that there's enough player demand for. It's something that we can look into.
I hear you. So predatory animals might be off the list. Understood. Okay, so Daryl, I suppose the last question then for the day, we're out of user questions, unfortunately. There were some great ones, but if we went through the thousands we got, we'd be here all night. But now that the soft launch is around the corner there, the early launch tomorrow, and shortly thereafter, people will be able to jump in. What's next for FarmVille 2 players after this?
Yeah, great question. So right now, the big focus again, it's on this week. We're going to start to roll out the early access to the river. Next week is water crops. Beyond that, we've got a full September palette of river months. So we're going to continue to expand on the river through the month of September, and we want to make sure that the feedback is really pouring in. I'd just like to take the opportunity as well to remind players that once you get to level 15, and starting next week, that again, this area of the game is completely and totally free, and so again, we think that water farming and water crops and being a part of getting ducks on the farm, these are all things that we're focused on immediately, and that's what players are going to see. Beyond that, a few of the things that we're looking at. Obviously, October is the month of Halloween, so we're looking at rolling out a Halloween program, and then taking things. We've got a solid roadmap taking us all the way through into the holidays, and beyond. And then beyond that, really, we really want the players to get active in the forums, tell us what they're passionate about, give us your feedback on the river, give us your feedback on things that you like, things that you want to see. That's where we draw a lot of our inspiration from, is the passion from our fans, and we want to continue to deliver on that for months and years to come.
That's terrific. And for anyone who's listening right now and watching the live stream, if they did want to go and give you feedback starting with your early access tomorrow, where can they find those forums?
So we have a website that players can go to, and the URL for that is so we have a Facebook fan page as well, and the best place to get involved, www.facebook.com/FarmVille2. That's where you can start to get some of the conversation going. We also have a blog, and what's that? Oh, okay, and we'll share the URL for that in chat.
Okay, terrific. Well, thank you so much, Daryl. I really appreciate your time tonight. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the first glimpse at the river, the Appaloosa River. Now, don't forget it is available tomorrow in early access, and then I believe, is the date September 3rd for the wider release, Daryl?
We're looking at rolling it out next week.
Okay, sometime next week then. No hard date on that. Okay, perfect. Well, thanks again, Daryl, and thanks everyone for following us, participating in the chat, and taking a look at everything. Again, my name's Jim Squires. I'm the editor-in-chief at Gamezebo.com. Come give us a read when you're not playing FarmVille 2, which I'm sure you're about to go do right now.
Cool, and I just want to remind, thanks for everybody for tuning in. Please follow us on Twitter, on Twitch, and on Facebook as well. Again, keep the feedback coming in. We love it.
Perfect.